What was one of the craziest foods that you ate in the Netherlands?
Probably fufu. It's a African food that, like I said, the only way to explain it is it has a texture of Play-Doh, and you eat it in this really spicy soup. But this really spicy soup, everybody just like kind of just digs in with their own fingers, like just in a big bowl. And I thought it was really good, but then I saw a fish head floating in it. When I asked them about it, they're like, "Oh, you don't eat that. That's just for the flavor." And I was kind of like, "Oh, okay, that's not something I'm used to." But that was probably the most exotic that I ever ate.
What was one of the most crazy or dangerous experiences you had?
Crazy or dangerous? I remember there was one time we were driving home. The last 6 months of my mission I spent in a car, and we were driving home, and this guy came bouncing across the road on his bike, and like he wasn't just pedaling, he was like running on this bike. And I was like, what the heck is going on? So we kind of pulled over to see like if he needed help with something. And all of a sudden, out of the middle of nowhere, a cop came out and just tackled the guy on his bike and like braced himself like with the guy when he hit the ground, and they threw him in handcuffs and put him in the back of a police car and drove off. And it was just like one of the like weirdest, like what the heck. And there's so many things that happen like that in the Netherlands, like they just happen quick, and if you're not watching, you miss these like just crazy experiences where you're like, what the heck.
What was one of the most spiritual experiences you had on your mission, or a time you felt the Spirit strongly?
um when I was serving in Rotterdam, there's that was kind of a pivotal point in my mission. Before then, I'd been in a really tough area, not having super good time. I'll be honest, but it was those two friends I was talking about earlier on. That just had a baby a couple of weeks. One of them was kind of a less active member, and he had a girlfriend that was interested in the church. And we started teaching him. And at first, I was just kind of there. I wasn't really participating. My companion noticed it, and he was really good about helping me and kind of helping me through this and help me to essentially get over myself and do missionary work. But I learned to love these two people you're teaching. And all of a sudden, once I realized that, this mission, my mission isn't my mission. This is the Lord's mission. I'm just called to be here and love these people. Once I realized that, all of a sudden, it just got easier. I could feel the Spirit stronger. I could know what it was that I needed to teach them and what it was they needed to hear from me. Because the Spirit's the most important teacher, but He asks us to say things sometimes. And I'll never forget, though, just that experience I had in that one lesson of just like telling them face to face, like, look, I love you guys. Like I'm here for you. And like I said, that friendship is still there. She hasn't been baptized yet, but she has plans for the future. And to me, that's probably the most rewarding experience of my mission, is just getting to meet those two people, to have that feeling of I was sent here for these two people. I was meant, like, if there's nothing else I knew on my mission, I knew that I was sent there to meet Ifan and Miranda, because those two will be key figures for the rest of my life.
Awesome. Any funny language mistake that you made or someone else made?
Um, well, there was one time we were saying the prayer, and I meant to ask the Lord to bless the house that it would be a place of rest, but I said it wrong, and I asked the Lord to bless the place that it would be a place of rust. So everyone started laughing at me in the middle of the prayer, and I had no clue why, but it happens.
What was one of the greatest life lessons you learned on your mission?
um, the past is to be learned from, the future is to be planned for, and the present is to be lived in. The only thing that we can really control, in my eyes, is what's happening today. I can control if I get up, if I work out, if I read my scriptures, if I go to school, if I do my best at work, if I can control that myself. Those are things that I can do. And it's relying on the Lord for the rest, understanding the mistakes that we may have made in the past and learning from them, and using that information and knowledge gained so that we can plan for the future.
What's one of the best skills you gained as a missionary?
The best skills. Um, Probably just talking to people, particularly girls. I was really shy before my mission, but now it's a little easier. But in all honesty, that was one of the greatest things I gained on my mission, was just a love for people. It's before I kind of just kept to myself and didn't really, I don't want to say didn't care about people, but I didn't really care about talking to anyone or getting to know anybody. But now it's like, I think it's awesome to make new friends and just get to know people and understand kind of what makes them tick.
So, what's the most extreme weather you experienced?
Oh my gosh. So the Netherlands, it rains all the time, but the most extreme weather I was ever in was in Rotterdam. I was training this kid, and he was telling me, he says, "Elder, I'm from Arizona. It's not going to rain here for another 2 years." And I looked at him, I said, "You better take that back right now, because it's about to prove you wrong." And sure enough, we'd walked outside and it was sunny, and in about 15 seconds our clothes were soaking wet. Like, we'd just gotten drenched in rain, and I just looked at him and I said, "I told you so." But that rain will come out of nowhere, and really, you can buy as good a coat as you want and all that, but there's no way around it. If you're planning on going to the Netherlands, plan on getting soaked at least once or twice.
What was one of the hardest things on your mission or experience?
One of the hardest things on my mission president taught me a lot about, he called it self-limiting beliefs. And just thinking, having the attitude of, I can't do this because, or I can't do this because of, blank. But that was one of the hardest challenges I ever had to get over, was myself, in essence, of thinking that I can't speak Dutch, or I can't do this, when in reality, the Lord's called you. Whom the Lord calls, he qualifies. You're qualified for the work. You just need to go out there and do it. And that's one of the hardest things that I had to go through on my mission, was understanding that simple fact that I can do anything that the Lord gives me. My friend Keave just got home from her mission, and one of her mission president's favorite talks was, one of her mission president's favorite quotes from a talk was, "Give me this mountain that I may climb it." I think Henry B. Eyring talked about it a couple conferences ago. But the fact of the matter is, sometimes the Lord's going to put hard things in your path, and the only thing keeping you from accomplishing them is yourself.
Awesome. What's the best advice you could give to a missionary just heading out?
Just heading out. Work on your testimony. That can be fatal in some instances. If you go out there not really knowing that this is true, or that this is something that you want to do, that can turn on you, and it can cause a lot of issues. But if you go out there with the idea of, I love God and I want to serve people, and I know this is his true church, then you'll be fine.
And what's the best advice you could give to a returned missionary who just got home?
Still don't feel like I've been home that long, so it's kind of weird. But I hear a lot of talk sometimes, people saying, like, your mission's over, just move on. Like, that was the past. You're here now. And I understand what they're getting at, but at the same sense, that shouldn't become something as just forget about your mission. I think about those experiences I have daily, because that was the most, as far as I know, I'm speaking for myself here, but that was the most spiritual time of my life. That's when I felt closest to the Lord, was in the Netherlands. And so thinking about it daily helps me in making decisions here. It's part of learning from the past. The things that I learned there, I'm applying today, as I go throughout day-to-day activities. So don't forget your mission, and especially don't forget the people that you served or taught, or, members, converts, or just people that you met over there, because those relationships mean a lot, especially to the Dutch people.